Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you on our logistic panel. My name is Joanna Tymińska. I am a marketing and development manager at AC Porat. It's a customs agency, and I have 14 years of experience in logistics sector. I have a pleasure to be a moderator of our today's panel. AC Porat, with a partnership of ECL, Fracht FWO, SGS, and special guests, Baltic Hub and LS Airport Services, invite you to our logistic panel titled Logistics of Transporting Aid and Goods to Ukraine, Black Swans of the Logistic Chain. The Black Swan, popularized by Nicholas Taleb, it refers to unpredictable events with often catastrophic consequences. The catastrophic consequences and a major widespread impact. In today's world, the advanced development of science and technology makes it seem unrealistic that a situation that has not even been at least signaled as possible may occur. Reality, however, constantly surprises us with events that are shocking to such an extent that they have gained their own definition. Our panel will focus on black swans and their impact on logistics. The panel is divided into two parts. The first part will consist of speeches of our experts. Andrzej Bułka, CEO at Fracht FWO, Alexandra Kus, Director of Accountant Management at ECL, Marcin Ramotowski, Customs Services Development Manager at SGS, Joanna Porat, CEO at AC Porat. After speeches, we will discuss impact of those black swans factors to our logistic sector. To this part, I would like to invite our special guests. Anna Abramczyk-Abiszu, Cargo Business Development Specialist at LS Airport Services, and Bartosz Felczyński, Business Development Manager at Baltic Hub. After our logistic panel, you will have a chance to ask our experts questions on our workshop, which take place on the second floor at 1:30 p.m. So now I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Andrzej Bułka.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you, organizers of this event. This is another time when I have a great opportunity to take part in the conference organized by G2S Arena in Rzeszów. Place is well known for the great and effective business meeting. This time we come here to talk about the topics which are, how to call it, unexpected. Myself, I spend a lot of time at sea as a loading officer. I'm a deck officer, class 2, educated in Szczecin Maritime Academy. I also graduated for Warsaw Polytechnic, Warsaw School of Economics, and Business SS School. And my domain is a sea freight, but since a couple of years I stay in the logistic business. I was a co-owner of the LPL Projects logistic company in Poland, and then after I was employed by the Swiss holding Fracht Group, and it will be 13 years when I successfully run the Polish branch, which is involved in forwarding business, transportation, logistics, and the consulting. Why I'm here, we'll be talking about the changes in a supply chain which came as a consequence of the war in Ukraine. Black swans. Black swans have a different kind of definitions, you know. Some people will claim that war in Ukraine is not a black swan, and also the pandemic was not a black swan. We are in a different opinion. During the pandemic, all the transportation routes changed dramatically, and the costs started to rise to unpredictable level. For example, the sea freight from China, which is the most common example, rised some hundreds of %, making some business totally ineffective and bringing a lot of problems. Concentrating on what we have now, we have a situation which is quite common since ages. Poland, with its location, we are in a perfect moment when one power wants to attack the other, and also we are in a perfect position when we can help the others. And the example of this help you've been observing since February 24, when the war started. Between two superpowers, between Germany and Russia. Germany used to be the main logistic hub for the Eastern Europe for years. Hamburg was the biggest Polish port. Hamburg was for years also the biggest Russian and Scandinavian port because of connection to ocean lines through Atlantic and especially from China. Since 2010, when at that time deepwater container terminal in Gdańsk started operation, today Baltic hub, Poland started to be one of the most important places, not only for the Polish market, but also for the distribution of containers, import-wise, export-wise, for the whole part of Europe, which some of you used to call the Eastern Europe. We used to say that we are in heart of Europe during the wartime and during the peacetime. If we are surprised what is going on one hand, yes, on the other side, not. I refer for the moment to the energy business. As you know, there's a huge discussion about the climate, about what's going on with the atmosphere and the melting icebergs and everything. But at the end of the day, we come back to coal, and some of us are prepared for the gas solution, some of us not, because we were relying on Russia too much. We were also relying on a Russian logistics system for a long time, and there was a lot of business running through the Baltic countries like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, with a white truck directed to or connected to the seaport terminals, to container terminals, bulk terminals. There was a lot of cargo going through white truck to places like Belarus, Ukraine, and even further countries through the Baltic Basin. As an introduction, I would say that as we have a great opportunity to talk here to you, we have also as a country great opportunity to take the lead role as a logistic hub for Ukraine, and not only during the war, also for all the activities which we hopefully start after when the conflict will be finished. We have very well developed infrastructure in three cities. I mean terminals in Gdynia, Gdańsk, which are all the time improved. Baltic Hub just started to build another terminal, very modern terminal, which will be able to handle the biggest vessels, the biggest container ships. We have all the time developing, but one of the best in the region network of motorways. We improve all the time our rail connections, and we'll be investing a lot in intermodal terminals, especially eastern part of Poland. And it was a couple of months ago I took part in the project of we prepared the report, the kind of opinion for the European Investment Bank with Ernst & Young to point the places where the containers will be reloaded, also containers reloaded to Ukraine and from Ukraine. So as you can see, I will tell it the last time, during the wartime, Poland is always on a scene, and during the peacetime, Poland is also on a scene. And we have great opportunity to support our friends in Ukraine. We have better and better infrastructure, but the last, and maybe should be the first, we have a lot of companies because the Polish transport logistic market started to grow 30 years ago and now is one of the biggest in Europe, not Eastern Europe, just in Europe. We have great competence of our people. That's why the biggest, not in Europe, the biggest in the world companies locating distribution centers in Poland. We have top 3 in Europe infrastructure related to the logistics centers and the warehousing infrastructure. And at the end of the day, we have the biggest in Europe trucking fleet. What we don't have and what we still need to develop, what we need to achieve by changes of regulations in cooperation with the Ministry of Transport, with the government, we will talk later on. But the good thing is that when flow of people started to cross the border in Poland a couple of months ago, Polish families were ready like never. You know that we have very difficult history with Ukraine. And this is the great moment when we can try to build a new future, but it's also the great moment to show up how we could support Ukraine economic-wise. And there is no economy without logistics. So we want to present our possibilities as a forwarding companies, transportation business, port logistics by Baltic Hub, and also from the side of legislation and especially custom procedures. Because for many of you, this is still the black hole, and this is still the big question mark, how to send cargo to Ukraine through Poland and prepare documentation, prepare properly the budget, and how to find the right partner for all your efforts. It was maybe half a year ago I had the opportunity to, as a company, of course, we as Fracht, we have offices in several places in the United States. We also have a business in Canada and many other places which you could check on our website. But this is not the clue. The clue is that wherever you want to send to Ukraine, wherever you want to send to Poland, you should always consult it with the freight forwarder and custom agent. As we received a lot of containers, and part of them we just sponsored because we had no, how to call it. It was a moment we forgot about the business. We just paid for the freight. And what we found in these containers, it was not really something what people needed at that time. That's why, you know, I want to ask you, if you send something which is from deep of your heart, but it's maybe not needed, it's much better to send some money. And there are reliable people in Poland, there are reliable people in Ukraine, they will know how to use this money, how to really help Ukrainians. And as far as I know, you are meeting here the best companies, the real experts, and whatever you would like to ask, you can ask later on a question and answer session, which will take place 1:30 p.m. What I want to tell you at the end of the speech, we do not call it business at the end of the day. We really like to help. My company, or company which I'm employed to run Polish branch, we have a yearly income like $1.5 billion. And really, frankly speaking, Ukrainian business is not really something we like to make a big money. We are here for assistance, we are here for help, we are here to simplify the processes, and there are some cases if we are not the real experts for what foundations, private people, some companies wants to do, we are just pointing our partners which are very, very strong in what they do. We talk about the custom clearance, we talk about warehousing close to the boundary, we talk about some special services related to logistics, which we are simply not doing. We do not do it daily. But wherever we could help with the sea freight, air freight, with any bottlenecks in the ports and the boundaries, we are at your disposal. I passed the voice to my colleagues, and I'd like to say that I'm really proud I stay in this business as a former loading officer, as a person who is in this logistic business for so many years. We are really feel that we are needed like never. Because after 10 or 20 years, when the electronic systems, electronic platforms, where the robots at the end of the day, and the big consolidation of the market, taking freight forwarded out of the market, and the consulting started to be the part of the internet, we feel again that this help, this work caused that people recall themselves that when they do business, it should be business people with people, because only people can help people. No electronic platforms, no robots, no bots. And thank you very much for coming in so high number. Logistic was never a sexy issue, but after this meeting, you will know how important it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience. It was really well said that we are the heart of Europe, especially when we talk about logistics and logistic chain to supply the cargo, to supply the goods to receivers, especially now in a time of war. Thank you very much. We are here to help. So I'm inviting you to our Q&A session after our panel. Now I would like to introduce our next speaker. It's Alexandra Kus, Director of Accountant Management at ECL.
Hello, my name is Alexandra. I would like to apologize for my voice, but yesterday I have a big fever, so but I want to attend for this in this event, so I do best.
But it's not COVID.
Yeah, it's not COVID.
Okay.
It's not COVID. We have in the office we have a big cold. So my colleagues also are very sick. I will be sitting if you where is the pilot? Klikacz. Okay. Where? Okay. First of all, I want to introduce my company, ECL. We are a Polish-Ukrainian company with two branches, with two headquarters. One office we have in Rzeszów, so very close to this place. And the second office we have in Rivne. It is around 300 kilometers from the west border. On the picture, you will see our team. It is not all our team, but a part of them. Now we employ about 50 people here in Poland and in Ukraine. We start our business in around 11 years ago. First, we start working as a transport company. Then my bosses and our bosses, because I have a boss in Ukraine and in Poland, they decided to open a freight forwarding company. We specialize in the transport between Poland and Ukraine and to the eastern countries. Before war, we also cooperate with Russia. I must say this, but on 24 in February we decided to cut this because we want to have a clear situation with our friends in Ukraine. So we decided to cut this like that. From the beginning, we organized only transport between Poland and Ukraine. Later, we start cooperating with Germany, with France, and with other companies. We have also a small forwarding room, as I said. We employ around 4 or 5 managers. We have a plan to have more these people because, as you see, we was a company which is specialized in short and close. I don't know how to say corridor, but after 24 of February, we must thinking about how to say, sorry, może powiem po polsku, pan tutaj przetłumaczy. Musieliśmy po prostu pomyśleć szerzej o kierunkach, na których możemy współpracować, więc tak to wygląda. Dalej. We focus on the transport services for customers to the eastern countries. This is our specialization to transport to Ukraine and to Moldova also. Monthly, we organize in these directions around 1,200 transportations. So it is for some people it will be big amount, but for other people it will be not big amount. What else should I say? For our customers, like commercial customers, 2 years ago we decided to implement an ISO integration of management systems, because many big companies like, for example, IKEA, Nestle, or all these companies which is produced, for example, white goods, they want to have how to say, they want to cooperate with a company which is have this implementation. So we decided to do this, and I could say that it helped us in our commercial work, because during these 2 years we started cooperation with well-known branches. Here on this photo you will see what we are carrying, what we are transporting. It is white goods, construction industry, machine industry. Downstairs is packing industry, all food, and others. And in these others now, I could say that we specialize in transport humanitarian aid. On this photo, you will see all well-known branches which we cooperate. So we have a very popular, big portfolio. So we're carrying not only commercial goods, but also humanitarian aid. Before 24th of February, we have some problems with transport, and the first big problem it was issue related to the transport permits for Ukrainian carriers. It happens always in the end of the year, because the amount of these permits for Ukrainian carriers it was not. It is big amount, but all these carriers used these permits till, for example, August. So in the after August or September, they have a problem to get these permissions. Okay, we could say that the Polish companies, Polish carriers could also transport to Ukraine. Yes, they carrying the goods to Ukraine, but they have bigger prices for the frachts, and they decided to go only to the West Ukraine, not to all destinations. They prefer very easy work. We said usually that the Ukrainian carriers go to this place where other people, for example, scary, boją się. The second big problem is the quicks on the border, the system of work of custom authorities, the capacity of border crossing, the lack of appropriate infrastructure for drivers. We will speak later on our panel upstairs about these problems, so you could ask the question. The third, it was the waves of increase and decrease in the amount of loads caused great volatility on the Ukrainian market. For example, in the beginning of the year, the prices for the frachts are very low. In the middle of the year, they stabilized, and then in the end of the year, they go for very high level. So our customers spent a lot of money because they have contracts and agreements, and they must deliver these goods. So it is not. This market is It is not stable. How to say? And after 24th of February. The first big problem, it is not active insurance. We have some situation because after I remember it was Friday. Friday. We come to work, and our customers, the phone was red because everybody is calling to us and ask about the safety of the goods. We have 5 or 6 trucks with steel in Mariupol, in Azovstal. So we must very fast take care of the drivers, take care of the carriers, and take the goods to the safe place. We have also one case, which is our truck stuck in Kharkiv for 6 or 7 months. The factory was closed, and the driver waiting for the unloading there 1 week. Because the procedure, they didn't prepare the documents very good, so the driver is waiting, and he leave the truck with goods and go to home. And after 6 months, he come to take his truck. So we spent a lot of time to prepare this.
So, Alexandra, I think that there is a lot of issues that you are aware of, and you are struggling every day, and you can help to our guests with their problems and issues. And I am inviting you to ask some more questions on a Q&A session after our panel. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much. The last, I just want only to say 1 minute. Please, here you, on this map, you see the places when we deliver humanitarian aid. So we are not scaring to go to the eastern part of Ukraine. We cooperate with many organizations, non-profits, not maybe direct, but by our partners. So we invite you to our stand. Upstairs on our panel, we will be speaking about the problems. If you have a question, just please ask me. We have a team. In the team, we have Ukrainian speakers, Polish speakers, and English speakers. And I apologize for my English; it's not very good. Thank you
But
very
you handle
much.
it, Alexandra. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite our next speaker. It's Marcin Ramotowski, Customs Services Development Manager at SGS.
Good morning. Many thanks for having us here. It's a great pleasure to join this event and talk a little bit about customs formalities. So thank you, Andrzej, for mentioning customs, which is apparently perceived as a kind of barrier issue, bringing nothing but problems and a headache at least. In reality, it's not so complex if you rely on the good and proven partners. So we are amongst many companies who are here to support you and take all this burden from you. I'm going to focus today on the transit procedures because there were recently some important changes on the market. And I will do my best to not be so too technical, to not bother you with all the specifics of transit procedures. So what is the transit? Many of you may know, but this is about the shipping the goods from one customs territory or customs zone to another one, where the goods are under the so-called customs bond, so under customs supervision until the final destination where the importation takes place. What is very important when we are talking about the transit procedure is the bank guarantee, because if you ship the goods, let's say from the Ukrainian border to the destination in Germany, all the route from the border to the destination, the goods are having still the non-European origin status. This means that the customs debt, so duties and applicable taxes, have to be covered with the bank guarantee. And SGS is one of the companies who are providing this kind of service. We have a status of holder of the procedure in many countries. In European Union, the system utilized for management of transit procedure is called NCTS, New Computerized Transit System. And what has changed, what I have mentioned at the very beginning, as from 1st of October this year, Ukraine has joined this system as well. And here I really like to highlight my highest respect to the authorities of Ukraine, that despite of the war, despite of all the difficulties they are going through, they have managed to keep working and to make their customs system compliant with the EU regulations, and that they have managed to join NCTS in time as agreed with the European Commission. What is important to mention here is also that the change means that the transit procedure, which previously was open on the border, today can be opened also inland, so inside of Ukraine. For instance, in the loading place and under transit procedure can be shipped to the destination. I will try to explain it to you on a maybe more understandable way. So a little bit of animation, cartoon. We can imagine the situation before 1st of October last year, and we have a parcel to be shipped from Warsaw to Kiev. So previously, the procedure was looking this way, that we were issuing the export document. The goods have reached the Polish-Ukrainian border where the AX document was closed, and then the parcel with the so-called, in the first scenario, it could be imported directly at the border, in the border customs office, and shipped to Kiev. In the second scenario, the parcel was shipped under national transit to the final destination. And then, of course, very similar scenario on the way back. Quite obvious, and I think this is the scenario you have experienced quite often. Same situation. The goods are shipped from Kiev to the border. Then the customs broker located at the border could perform the import procedure and release the goods into free circulation. The duties and taxes are to be paid, and the goods are shipped to the destination in Poland, in this case in Warsaw. Second scenario, the transit in NCTS is open at the border, and it's closed either by the importation or any other customs procedure, for instance, bonded storage or temporary customs warehouse, what my colleague Joanna will talk about a bit later. What has changed? What has changed is the speed of entire process. So same scenario, parcel or shipment from Warsaw in Poland. We are opening transit, and then the goods are using a green corridor and is shipped to the final destination, to the border. So what is the change? Of course, that the export is closed much quicker. There is no need to wait until the border, and we are also avoiding the queues on Polish-Ukrainian border. Similarly, it looks on the way back. So the goods are moved under transit regime from the place of departure to the arrival point, where again transit is closed by another customs procedure or released into free circulation. Looking on this, it's quite obvious that we have a list of benefits. So of course, it's speed of entire process. So the trucks are not losing so much time on the border, because the driver, in let's say the older previous standard process, should bring all the papers to the local customs agency. Then the customs declarant had to prepare the transit procedure, submit into the local customs system, wait for the approval, wait for the respective message, and only then the driver could continue his journey. Today, this is not necessary. Driver appears at the border already with a movement reference number, allowing him to cross the border. So less controls, because we are avoiding in majority of the cases the cargo control at the border, and time savings, because the driver is not waiting so long on the border. Of course, what is always one of the priorities for the European Union is the compliance, and all the parties involved in the transit procedure have to be compliant with the regulations. So this is also applicable for the Ukrainian customs authorities and customs brokers today. So there are certain risks which we can name here. So transit which are not terminated properly. So it may happen that the goods are delivered to the destination, unloaded, sometimes even sold, and then apparently someone realizes, normally this is the customs broker, that the transit procedure was not closed properly. And then it's a significant issue for all the parties involved, especially for the holder of procedure who is liable towards customs authorities. What may be, hopefully not, but may be applicable today for the cargo going to or from Ukraine is the destruction of the goods. This may happen. If something like this happens to the goods which are under customs supervision, then there is a respective proceeding to be followed, because as I have mentioned at the very beginning, this cargo is still under customs bond. What may happen is also the theft. The goods can disappear from the truck. The truck can disappear from the parking place. And again, then customs is not waiting until police will find the truck. They just impose the penalties plus expects the customs duties and taxes to be paid. What I would like to underline here is that we are SGS. We continue working on the Ukrainian direction. Our office in Kiev, our colleagues there are doing their best to work normally despite of the power supply damages and the shortage of the power, despite of the fact that not always they are able to work even from the home office, because we have forgotten about working from the office already long time ago. So they do their best to support the customers, to support the families and the people who are working there. We are really proud of having them as our colleagues. So these are also the guys who are at your disposal in case you will have any questions related to the topics related to customs in Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Transit seems to be a very complicated procedure, but I think that those animations helped you to understand it, and it's more clear now. More about the customs procedures will tell you Joanna Porat, the CEO of AC Porat.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm very glad to be here and support your customs matters. So I'm not here alone, of course. I'm always telling that we need to be a team, and all of us that are sitting here are especially a team, even if we are not working directly together. We are all parts of the supply chain that are cooperating in the way of how we are working, what we are supporting, and how we do communicate together. Together with my team, Claudia is here. She's a customs broker as well. And Joanna, we are here to help you in the panel after that in questions and answers, and to answer you and explain to you how we, with our partners, with our clients, are organizing the supply chain. Andrzej has told you about several problems as a logistic chain and forwarders' job every day, and they are really struggling with all kinds of matters regarding the containers and the air freight. What everybody is expecting from all point of view, that if the forwarder says the shipment has arrived, it will come in few days to the destination. And there it comes. There is some customs broker who is telling you where are the documents. And then we are starting to see what kind of goods are we handling with. And suddenly we are struggling every day with the matters of the documents are improperly, we have to change something, please change this, please change that. And at the end, everybody expects it works, but nobody knows how much work is behind the scene of the customs brokerage. From my point of view and what we are supporting right now, we have 2 offices in Gdynia, it's at the seaport, and the second office is in Rzeszów, here located next to. Our 2 teams are international, so we are supporting all kind of goods across Europe, across all EU borders, from Serbia, Hungary, and Ukrainian goods, Norwegian, Rotterdam, Hamburg. We had at the beginning the shortest and the fewest cargo flows as a humanitarian aid from United Kingdom. And of course, I was talking yesterday to several persons. For the first time in my life, I had a power of attorney from a priest. It was something totally unexpected, because the black swan in that all kind of goods that were coming into, we were really at the first stage that were coming. So if the forwarder was asking us what I will need to make a customs clearance of that cargo, and all of 3 kinds of goods that you are seeing right now were really an issue of the nation. Yes, so we are talking not only about the humanitarian aid, but about the donations as well. Surrounding us here, there are a lot of our clients I do see right now, and I'm glad that you are here and we can support other NGOs and organizations that would like to input something. And what is for us the most important kind of issue are the procedures that have to be followed accordingly to the European law and according to the national law when we are talking about Poland. So we shouldn't forget that, except that we have the European law that is similar for us altogether, doesn't matter if the cargo comes to Rotterdam or to Hamburg or to Gdynia or Gdańsk. We have different procedures regarding what we do see or we have seen a few months ago from Ukraine to Europe. Please don't forget that we have a lot of, especially foodstuff shipments that are being exported from the Ukraine, and we are still struggling at the border with all kind of border controls that has to be done before the customs clearance. So this is the point where is our bottleneck, and where we have to proceed and have to find solution in cooperation with both governments, Polish and Ukrainian, and we need definitely support in infrastructure directly at the borders. Regarding the goods that are European origin, it was more or less explained by Marcin. So it's except the export customs clearance and a lot of documentation that has to be done proper. It is not an issue for us. The issue is, of course, the time that the trucker has to wait at the border again. And this is an issue for us right now. So the cargoes that are coming under the transit procedure, where the trucker is not assured what he is doing when he is discharging that cargo on another truck, because it's not allowed. So from our point of view, and we are always explaining it in our Customs Academy, which we are running as well, so there are some trainings for the forwarders and logistic companies. Unfortunately, without a special permission, what we are able to authorize by the customs office, you are not able, you shouldn't discharge the goods under transit. And there are some penalties that are being seen for doing so. So we are open to show you the ways how we can find the solution to make it proper. And one of the solution is a short-term storage warehouse or a bonded warehouse. So this is what how we are working with other companies. For them, we are, for example, discharging the containers onto trucks that are going to the Ukraine from all over Europe. Our contact data, and I would introduce you, of course, and would welcome you at 1:30 upstairs, second floor, for the questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Jana, thank you very much for your expertise. I would like to thank all of our speakers for sharing their experience. So now we can move to our discussion. So let's begin our discussion. I would like everybody to participate. So let's start with our first point of agenda. Taking into account the recent events in the Ukraine, what in the last year has impacted your business the most in supply chain?
So I would say for our point of view as a customs brokers, this is what I have already said, that bottleneck regarding the borders. So from the first point of entry, our seaports in Gdynia and Gdańsk, I have to tell it. So Gdańsk is cooperating, but yes, so the borders, because we have lack of clear simplification in our law, in our Polish law, in the European law, how to handle that kind of goods, especially when we are talking about the donations and humanitarian aid, where we need to extremely cooperate with lawyers to find some solution how to do it and how to deal with it. Follow.
So from the freight forwarders' point of view, what we noticed, just to make it short, first of all, we cut business to Russia from Russia. And for some companies, it was a really huge business. It was French business, German business. At the end of the day, all the European corporations, they were making huge business in Russia. This trucking business, but also freight business has been stopped or suspended. At the beginning of the invasion, there was a big issue how to put some sanctions, and this was the official picture which we could observe in media. The unofficial one, which we were observing for months, was quite different. Most of the corporations which were sending help to Ukraine, which were trying to build an image of the company which is stopping business in Russia, they were just trying to find another way how to supply their factories in Russia or how to supply their clients. And the second, we started to observe very intensive activity of the American companies. Everybody knows that American business in Russia was also huge. And Americans, in this respect, they were very strict. You know, McDonald's case, but in the end of the day, not only McDonald's and Coca-Cola. And there was a huge investment of other companies, of course I will not mention them. They had projects in Russia which started years ago, and at the end of the day they cannot expect the next milestone payments because they strictly suspended their investment in Russia. So companies with producing high technology, they had to find a solution how to suspend also all the logistic operations. What else? Another business which we were in the past, but which started to grow, it was governmental business, humanitarian business, which we were normally handling to Africa. These days, there is a huge interest, as all you know, about the help to Ukraine, and military business, which is really, I would never say before that this business will be so much growing. Yeah. So, from the freight forwarders' point of view.
Thank you very much. Maybe something changes in the guarantee, in the transit, or what other cases you have?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to mention we are a Swiss company, so we are following all the sanctions imposed on Russia, and also this is why we as a SGS TransitNet have decided to close our office in Moscow. And of course, taking it from the purely financial or business point of view, the same we had to accept the millions of Swiss francs turnover losses, but we strongly believe that the money is not most important at the moment, and there are much bigger values than just the money. In terms of guarantees, yes. So for us, there was a big change because right now we can utilize our European bank guarantees also in Ukraine. So. As I have mentioned, we are developing the transit procedures to end from Ukraine according to the new rules after Ukraine has joined NCTS. So yeah, I can only agree with Andrzej that this point of gravity has changed significantly. We have lost a lot of customers and business, whether it was road or rail, to, from, or through Russia. But at the same time, today, this also linked to our guarantee, and the risk we are dealing with is the fact that many companies are trying to, let's call it, bypass the sanctions. So if they were previously shipping their goods directly to Russia, today they are going through Serbia, then they reload, ship to Turkey, then they reload and ship from Turkey to Russia or to Kazakhstan, and from Kazakhstan to Russia. Of course, the route is much longer, but seems it pays off. So we also do our best to try to figure it out and recognize who is the final recipient of the goods, and to block such shipment or transit. Of course, I cannot say that we are successful in 100% of the cases, but we are doing our best, because this is, in case the goods are shipped to the sanctioned parties, then we can be heavily impacted by the customs authorities.
As I have to add to Marcin's explanation, that as a customs broker we have so we are obliged to make such an information to the customs office, and of course if we are seeing the documents that doesn't fit together, it's already like a bullet point in our heads, and we are saying, I'm very sorry, but it seems like that cargo will not go only to Turkey. But it's really our daily business that they are still trying to go there to avoid the mentioned sanctions.
Yes. Who would like to add anything? Maybe Mrs. Ania?
Hello, my name is Anna. I'm representing LS Airport Services. We are the biggest ground handling agent in Poland, located in heart of the Poland, in Warsaw, as well in Katowice, Gdańsk, and Krakow. But regarding our panel and cargo division, let's say shortly, we have the biggest terminal in Warsaw and Katowice. And what I may say about the black hole for all this logistics line and supported between the sender, the consignee and consignor, it's the most important that the goods will be well prepared for the air transport.
Packaging, yes.
Yeah. And we found a lot of situation during the ongoing conflict with this situation of Ukraine and Russia, that a lot of shipments were not well prepared. It was lacking a lot of documents, and due to these aspects, the shipments were in our warehouse for a long time. And we are not from the rubber gum. and we are a border, let's say shortly. So we need to receive from your side, like a company forwarding, to collect this good as soon as possible, because we have daily a lot of operations and passenger flights which arrive as well with the cargo shipments, but we have as well special cargo flights. So for us the most important aspects it's to find this collaboration, to find solution from your side, to deliver these goods as soon as possible.
So from the customs point of view, documentation. From
documentation is the
airport,
issue.
From the airport point of view, packaging. How about the port terminal?
Okay. Hello, everybody. So let's say our last year experience was very, as everybody on the market was very, I will not use the word interesting, but it was very, let's say, fragile, because as a Baltic hub, we were the biggest terminal in Northern Europe, who handled over almost 500,000 containers to Russia. And suddenly, at the middle of the Q1 this year, we faced the situation that we have thousands of containers in our terminal towards Russia, and on the way to our terminal, we had hundreds and thousands of containers. So it was a very, we struggle a lot operational-wise, because of course, terminal has his own capacity, and there was a huge dwell time of those containers. And additionally, as our colleagues from the customs, the containers was in the transit procedures, so we couldn't deal with them as normal cargo. So, for example, some of the cargo had to back. We have to ship them back to the shipper, for example, yeah, so to China or to Brazil or whatsoever. And that it was a huge challenge for Baltic Hub and for customs and for customs authorities, etc. But we managed. And this was one side of the challenge. And of course, on the other side, we have the huge, let's say, opportunity, because suddenly, due to the situation over the Black Sea, closing of the Strait of Istanbul, suddenly we have a lot of cargo to and from Ukraine via ocean. And this is the case where we can find a synergy together. As Asha mentioned, the supply chain is very important on those days, and together with our colleagues from the freight forwarding companies, from the ocean lines, of course from our government authorities, we can find some synergy to help and support Ukraine and to bind the new and create new supply chain solutions to and from Ukraine. Because we as a Baltic Hub, we are the biggest terminal in the North Sea, in Northern Europe, this part of the Europe. And as Andrzej mentioned, last week we started construction of the, as we call it, T3 terminal. So additional 1.5 million containers can be handled from middle of the 2024. Right now we handle almost 3 million containers. So with the number of over 4 million containers, we will be one of the largest terminals in Europe. And this is, of course, we are not only the hub for Poland, but we are perceiving ourselves as a hub for Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, and this corridor between Scandinavia and Turkey. So we are talking about a market of over 200 million people.
Thank you. As you see, the world is changing and the supply chain is changing as well. Have you implemented any new solutions? Any new how to solve the problems, the challenges that we are in front of?
Okay, so maybe I will start very shortly. In the middle of this year, we noticed that the huge amount of, let's say, streamline of the cargo out of or towards Ukraine was looking for some kind of, let's say, gateway. And when we as a Baltic Hub, we support and we cooperate with many private and national, for example, railway companies. And we start this kind of, let's say, the railway corridor between Baltic Hub and the Ukrainian border. So we support and cooperate with such companies like PKP, Lotos Kolej, and others on the one side. On the other side, with the Ukrainian companies, freight forwarders, and because of our capacity of the CFS and our internal operational solutions, we are able to handle the, let's say, road cargo on our CFS and pack it to the containers and send them via ocean, or on the way on the opposite side. So let's say on the peak we are handling over 20 trains weekly to and from Ukraine. So we are talking about around, let's say, a couple of the hundreds containers weekly to and from Ukraine.
Thank you. And when we started with port terminal and containers, maybe Joanna, what is the challenge with the containers under transit, which goes to Ukraine?
So it's always the same situation. We are always talking about the short-term storage when we would like to discharge the containers that are coming to Gdańsk, for example, and are going to the Ukraine with a quite normal road freight. And we have lack of space in everywhere that is a bonded warehouse or a short-term storage warehouse. And this is what we are struggling with right now. And what we do see, we have decided to build like two special teams. First team is like a consultancy for the truckers and transport companies. Logistic companies to open the short-term storage warehouse if they have the location for that kind of authorized location from the office side. So we are helping to receive that certification by the customs office. And this is our audit team. And secondly, we have received a massive amount of the containers with humanitarian aid that were really lack of documents, and we didn't know what is inside. And that was a huge case, not only in the seaport, it was the same at the airport. And we have built a special team called Humanitarian Aid, who was a connection of the knowledge from the customs broker side and from the packaging side. So it is a team where the people that are specialized in the container packing are going under name as a customs broker to the seaport to make a supervision of the cargo, because we had such a peak at the seaport that nobody was able to see to send the specialized inspectors to do so. And the guys are doing really great job. So they are going really and standing there the whole day, counting down the packages of the noodles and raisins and peanuts and what they are receiving, and then sending all the documents to the customs broker they are connected with to make that way of the supply chain of the humanitarian aid so short and so fast as possible from the customs point of view. There are some cases that we are not able to avoid.
Maybe any other particular problems that you were struggling with and how you solved it?
Again, from the freight forwarders' point of view, we started to receive requests from our global clients, which never happened. Like, our colleagues said, the Bosphorus stopped to be the main entrance to the Black Sea for the normal trade, and especially Gdańsk and Gdynia started to be very attractive for as not only a getaway but also the storage point for the further distribution to Ukraine. And also the military business, which I mentioned before, started to be another part of the forwarders business, which was mainly reserved for 3-4 companies in Poland. Nowadays, I don't know the forwarder in Poland who didn't receive the request for the weapons or some cargo which could be classified as a military goods. So if we change anything, you know, we extended cooperation with the companies operating in the ports. We hired additional people working in a military team, and what was the good thing, which was needed for the not really military, but the very special business like helicopters or this kind of stuff produced in Poland, we got a certificate which is allowing us to deal with the organization like Ministry of Defense, NATO, and similar ones. So I would say we did not change the profile because we were specializing in a very difficult things, but before we were concentrating on a petrochemical business, oil and gas business, or especially energy sector. Nowadays, we got another specialty which we never asked for, but to be on help to our clients, to be on help on the institutions come for the cooperation, we had to change the profile a bit, not that much.
Just very shortly, and also following what my colleagues have said, we also have faced the increasing numbers of requests for support with the goods which previously were not in the normal scope of our business, so humanitarian aid or any kind of equipment for military sector. So internally we had to adjust our procedures to make it possible to ship this kind of, or open the transits for this kind of commodities. And also we are normally are in close contact with the customs authorities on both sides of the border, just to make sure that our process is correct. We were supporting our customers with the documents, what Joanna has mentioned. This is really critical element, and for any kind of shipments, really the prerequisite is to have the paperwork done properly. So we were checking the correctness and completeness of the documents, and also supporting the customers with the information how to create it in the most proper way. Plus, we constantly working on the improvement on our IT system, allowing the exchange of the information within the SGS network, so we can see all the incoming, outgoing shipments all the time, and the receiving or the destination point who is going to close the transit can see all the information and respective documents much more in advance in order to validate this.
Would you add anything more, or can start the third point of agenda? What the future holds for the market? How do you think? What you wish to happen? What should happen in logistics in a few years?
Okay, so maybe I will start again. Okay, of course right now we are facing a crisis, but okay, it's just economy. Sometimes we have peaks, sometimes we have ups and downs. But okay, we can see that in the front of us there is, let's say, a bumpy road, a little bit, slightly. But of course, we are from the logistics, so we will manage. And from my perspective, and what I notice, and how let's say the economy and let's say the supply chain will look like in the future. After February 24, we cross and we enter to the new world, to the new economy. Of course, many of us are still in the old dream that, okay, there's a Far East as a main corridor, etc. But in the future, I perceive Eastern Europe as a new, not only the hub, but new economic heart, new power, new energy in Europe. So from my perspective, and from my point of view, of course, we will have huge challenges, but together we can manage. When I say together, not only as me and our colleagues, but together as Poland and Ukraine, together we have almost, 90 million people. We have a very complementary industry. We are very well educated. We are very energetic, and we have, let's say, a power to grow. And let's forget about the old Europe. We are the new Europe. We are the future. So, and of course, we as a Baltic hub, we are ready to be a hub for this new Europe, for the Eastern Europe. As I said, we will have a new capacity in 2024. We already have a capacity to handle Ukrainian volumes, not only on the seaside, but as well on the roadside. We create new capacity on the terminal, so we handle almost 3,000 trucks per day. We have an additional capacity on the rail part of our terminal, so we this year we'll close with the number of 600,000 containers moved by rail. And in 2024, we will become the biggest rail terminal in Europe, total. So we, as the logistician, we are the backbone of the economy, and we are very well prepared. And we have a huge experience, we have a know-how, and we know how to do the things, how to do the stuff. So, okay, it will be a bumpy road, but together we will manage. That's my perspective and opinion.
Yes, I agree. Together we will manage as all the participants of the supply chain. So what else should change? What will change in the market?
Yeah, what should or will change after the war, or to be more precise, after the victory of Ukraine? I do believe that we will see the further simplifications of the trade between EU and Ukraine. We have to remember that since, I do believe, 2017, we have a deep and comprehensive free trade act area in place, bringing a lot of simplifications for the traders and the goods from Ukraine in Europe, European Union, and vice versa. And I think it should and will go further. And let's say in the longer run, but I also believe it will not take too long. We will end with the membership of Ukraine in the European Union. But we also have to remember that after the war, Ukraine will need a lot of support. They will need a massive number of resources, the products, commodities, foodstuff, also the intellectual resources. They will need the labor. They will need a lot of workers, because a lot of Ukrainians have decided to leave the country. The question is if and when they will go back, and who can replace them, because there will be a lot of things to be rebuilt and brought back into the normal state. And this is why the logistics plays the critical role to deliver and to make the border crossings also as easy as possible. So this is again the question also to the authorities, what they will do and how much they will allow us as logisticians to build efficient solutions for Ukraine.
I will add to Martin only that always being followed by the sentence, if you can't help, please don't disturb. So it would be much appreciated if we get much help from the European Commission or from the government side, from the infrastructure point of view at the borders, till the customs guarantees, till covering of the risk. For example, the transits that are being opened to the Ukraine, as Martin was explaining to you, that there is a huge risk for us as the customs brokers and the carriers who are going under the transit procedure to the Ukraine. So again, if you can't help us, please don't disturb us doing what we are doing best and what we are able to do the best we can, because all persons I know here, we are doing it all our lives, about 20 years of experience. And we are really connecting our know-how and our knowledge and our experience and doing always the best we can to find the right solution. And just an explanation to your question. So of course, we are all preparing right now to be prepared to rebuild the free independent Ukraine. And this is what we are working on right now. And this is what we are already working on with B2B companies that are working how to make the customs procedures as simple as possible, how to use the intranet and the teleinformatic that we are already using by the communication with the customs offices, and how to be prepared for the moment, yes, now we are going to start. So we are trying still in the back office to use that time right now to be prepared for the export from the European Union.
Thank you. Would anybody would like to add something to the subject?
Just a few words, you know. Is there anybody from the United States on this? Yeah. Okay. Monica, real American. Okay. And you know that it was a couple of months ago, the former Russian president Dmitry Medvedev, this is a very emotional person, as you know, and his Twitter activity, he has mentioned that maybe Russians should start thinking about Alaska again. If you know the history of Russian settlement in Alaska and even California, I know this history, then you could maybe redefine what can come in the future, you know. Russians, at the moment, it was just a couple of days, a couple of weeks ago, Vladimir Putin was present on in the shipyard when they launched 2 new icebreakers. And the idea of the Russian government or Russian leaders is to make the northern route active all over the year. It means that the transit time of all the containers from China will be cut by at least 1 week, 2 weeks, depends how they will manage that. And through the Bering Strait and the White Sea to Europe. It will change supply chain completely. Taking for consideration how close Russia and China is today, and that we have no idea how to move the production from China, because we all talk about nearshoring and all these things, but the fact is that we have no people to work. In Poland, we can only survive because of Ukrainian colleagues. That's the fact. And there are many issues, many aspects, and during the wartime, we are in a center of attention as Poland. During the peacetime, like now, especially Rzeszów, we are always in the center of attention. But from my perspective, when the war will finish, because one day it will finish, the war will finish on particular conditions, because we see the voices of French president and some other politics in Europe that Putin has to save the face, yeah? I believe that the routes through the Black Sea will come back, and the main role in this domino will be taken by Turkey. Turkish people are very influential. Look how Turkish president is influential at these days, you know. Everybody wants to talk to Erdogan. Erdogan criticized for the months, for ages, for what he's doing in Turkey. He's in a center of attention at the moment. He's between Ukrainian president, between European politics and Putin. And Turkey itself, you know, we see Turkish investment in Poland, Turkish engineering companies, you know, we see how Turkish inner market is growing. And also with Turkey, with their position on a map, they will be very, very important, considering that production, maybe capital is in Wall Street, but production is in China, India, Pakistan. So I think that the role of Poland, Polish logistics sector and Polish ports, it's really strong at the moment. How it will be in a perspective of next 5 years, I'm not that optimistic. What we could improve and what is needed to improve, as we have a Baltic hub, as we have high competence, as we are at the headline every day, we should lobby to have direct ocean freight connection to West Coast, or to East Coast of America, and we should make as much as possible to get this chance and be still the first to help, but also be the first to do business in the future. At the moment, beside of the money we send, beside of the help we send to Ukraine, beside all the heart we open to Ukrainian people and Ukrainian business, we have not that much to offer comparing what the others can do. This is my personal, of course, opinion. This is not the opinion of the management of the company I'm employed or the people I lead. But this is pretty interesting what is going on around, you know. And when it will finish on particular conditions. It will not be like, you know, like all the people will come back to, all the business will come back to Polish companies or Polish logistics sector. Hey, let's do business together, because position of the Balkan countries, especially Turkey and some other nations is the same. They also want to be in transit, be in help. They also want to make money. Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your experience. I hope it was beneficial for you. Now I would like to invite you to our Q&A session, which will take place just in an hour on the second floor. We will find us by our pop-ups. So let's see in an hour on the second floor. Thank you all for participation, and have a nice day.